expressed on the internet would be censored.
We are live. We are live. This is real. Welcome back to Unauthorized Opinions, UOPod.com. Like, share, subscribe.
It's pure propaganda and it's super cringe, by the way.
I literally went to the polls with nothing in mind. I saw a can of orange soda in the parking lot. And I was like, yeah, there we go. An unopened can of orange soda just chilling in the parking lot. I was like, yeah, I got to vote for Trump, dude.
Your podcast sucks. It's mental, mate. It's absolutely mental.
I'll be honest, I thought it was kind of offensive when you talk so much about the Loch Ness Monster.
Political climate.
And Andrew, treat yourself, okay? Especially if you start, I don't know, getting in good with homeless people.
Unauthorized Opinions, streaming everywhere at uopod.com. Cock-a-doodly-doodly-doo, man.
Reflect on the darkest times in your life. Sometimes you gotta do that. I was fucked up. I mean, I hit rock bottom. But I make no excuses. My behavior on that video is inexcusable. I take full responsibility for my actions in that video. I'm disgusted. I was disgusted then when I did it. I'm disgusted now. I went and I sought out professional help. I had to go into therapy, and go into rehab. Had to ask God for His mercy and grace. I'm so sorry. But I'm committed to be a better man each and every day. I'm not asking for forgiveness. I'm truly sorry.
Diddy, sorry. We're sorry. We're all back. Unauthorized Opinions on YouTube, X, Rumble, all the streaming platforms. Spotify, Apple, Google. You're listening live. Thank you for joining us. Diddy, sorry. We're all so sorry. And, of course, if you didn't see Diddy revealed, there was a video revealed of him beating up his ex-girlfriend, the singer Cassie, in a hotel room, you know, giving the old boot, throwing some vases at her. Who hasn't done this? Who hasn't said that they need professional help for beating up a woman in a hotel room? Welcome back. We took a week off. Set ourselves straight. This weekend episode is called Sorry Your Daughter is a Loser. And the reason why we're calling it that, let me just get right up here. The reason why we're calling it that is because there is an attack on women from liberal men constantly. And the attack is that you are simultaneously, you know, not allowed to say that a man can't take your space. And while that's happening, you're saying that men are also evil. And while that's happening, you're saying that you need to be okay with girls being in pornography. And while that's happening, you also are being told that you cannot objectify women. So we are mishmashing every sort of ideology into one, and all of it is meant to just distract women and have them vote for liberal causes to really confuse them and make them emotionally unstable and just, you know, make it so they don't really know what is what. That's the attack that I see happening. And as women begin to fight back, they get pushed back on more. And there are a few women now who are, you know, actually doing the right thing. And one of them, the first one I want to call out on this, is Caitlin Clark. Now, this is going to be, of course, an episode about the attack on women. And Caitlin Clark is no exception to the rule. I predicted about 2 weeks ago that the WNBA would see its downfall through all this, through their social activism. You know, you can go back on this channel and see that 2 weeks ago I said the WNBA will destroy itself. And that will be because they can't help but destroy Caitlin Clark. The ladies in the WNBA who perhaps prefer the company of other ladies, and perhaps they are raised, you know, socially raised in this environment where they are victims due to their sexuality and their gender and their race. they will not like Caitlin Clark. This is what I predicted. And it took less than 2 weeks for it to happen. And we had already at the time said that there was an article out there from The Atlantic that said Caitlin Clark is popular only because she's white. But that was some white, old, loser white guy saying that. We didn't have that from any players yet, and I predicted it would happen. But we got that prediction. Less than 2 weeks, we got that prediction to come true, and it was a WNBA player by the name of Aja Wilson, A''J-A. And now, and she had a problem with Caitlin Clark. Caitlin Clark was not, I don't know, maybe she's not selling her body enough. Maybe she's not saying women are victims enough. Maybe she's not even, going to any benefits to black transgender people enough. That's what's happening here, I believe. So Aja Wilson gave this interview to a guy named Kyle Hightower, who is what we would call a weapon on the streets. We can go ahead and just show you what he's looking like. I mean, physiology, everybody, we can say. But so this interview that happened with this Associated Press guy happened, what I think a week ago, or at least a few days before this was printed. There was a gap there, he didn't put it out right away. But that's going to play a role here in a second, you'll see. So this girl, Aja Wilson, who I don't even think is on the header image, if I'm not mistaken. Did they feature her anywhere in here? That's her, I guess, raising the championship. The championship trophy there. The WNBA, I guess it's probably named after first Canadian astronaut female in space, Roberta Bondar trophy. That's my guess. But Aja Wilson says this to this reporter. Talking about there being a black-white narrative surrounding Caitlin Clark's meteoric rise and a double standard that's being had. I think it's a huge thing, she says. I think a lot of people may not say it's about black and white, but to me, it is. Las Vegas Aces star Aja Wilson said when asked about the race element in Clark's popularity. Before she signed 2 major endorsement deals, let's skip that for a second. It is really because you can be top-notch at what you are as a black woman. Black is capitalized, of course. But yet maybe that's something that people don't want to see. They don't see it as marketable. So it doesn't matter how hard I work. It doesn't matter what we all do as black women. We're still going to be swept underneath the rug. That's why it boils my blood when people say it's not about race, because it is. So this girl, Aja Wilson, goes on a little rant here with this guy and says, black women don't get endorsement deals. Black women get swept under the rug no matter how good we are. Of course, that's obviously wrong. It has to do with the popularity of the WNBA being in the dumps. And, of course, Brittany Griner's gotten all sorts of attention for, being a criminal in another country, being arrested in another country. So this interview got done, written or recorded. I'm not sure how it got done. But it didn't come out, right when she did it. Because before this article got printed, this very same girl, Aja Wilson, got 2 endorsement deals. So she said they don't see it as marketable, as in being a black woman. So it doesn't matter how hard I work. It doesn't matter what we do as black women. We're still going to be swept under the rug. Aja Wilson, before this article came out, was signed to 2 endorsement deals. And they weren't just, Harry's Razors or whatever, or a startup coffee company. She was signed to endorsement deals by Nike and by Gatorade. So within a week, probably, of her complaining that black women get overlooked, she gets an endorsement deal with Nike. And not only did she get an endorsement deal with Nike, she just completely went super smug with it. So, again, this is days after telling a reporter that she'll never get a deal because she's black. And I'm guessing her agent probably called and is like, please don't print that, but maybe the guy is not as bad as I'm assuming he is. Maybe he's a good guy and he wanted to make a point. But of course, we could go back to the article and see that he still said that, it was all because of racism and everything like that. But this girl, Aja Wilson, she starts going around, of course I have a shoe.com. She does this campaign ad about how obviously she's got a Nike deal, and they link this website, this URL, of course I have a shoe.com, to her promotional campaign for her new shoe that Nike's giving her. And this is what they said. This was their big, cute, sassy PR statement. You thought we'd sleep on an SEC champion, national champion, number 1 draft pick, finals MVP, statue having, bestseller, most influential people, 2-time champion, 2-time defensive player, and the pettiest hooper on the internet? You thought, of course Age has got a shoe. A1 arriving 2025, and we've got the cute apostrophes here. This is less than a week after she said it was racist. It's racist that she's gonna that she doesn't get a shoe deal. It's racist that Gatorade isn't dumped on her in a commercial. It's racist that she doesn't get to do the Kevin Garnett anything is possible because she's a black woman. Racist, sexist. She gets a shoe deal, and she says, "Of course I got a shoe deal, you guys. What are you, idiots? Are you some sort of moron? You thought that I wasn't gonna get a shoe deal? I said the whole time I was gonna get endorsements. Don't you remember days ago?" So Caitlin Clark's popular because she's white. I'm not popular because I'm black, but then I get a shoe deal and, and a Gatorade deal. But it's all racism. But here's the real reason why Caitlin Clark is popular. Because she's making them tons of money. She has made them money anywhere they went. 250% increase no matter where she's gone the last month for ticket sales. And we can go right to the source for this. It was sportscasting.com that printed this. And they had a little chart here. And what the chart is the ticket in the left here, in the left column, we have the ticket prices for the Caitlin Clark game when she goes to different cities. The second column is how much the ticket prices were for the next game, the next home game at the same arena. And this is like get-in price, they called it for, what's the app? SeatGeek. So basically, the lowest price available. So when she went to Connecticut, the price was $74. The next game after that at that stadium was 469% higher. In New York, which is the Barclays Center, which probably sees about 1,200 people show up for a WNBA game, ticket prices went up by 3 times. More than that. I don't know where you're getting 300% from, actually. 20, 40, 60, 80, that should be 400%. My apologies. Miscalculation. Wasn't me. Seattle Storm, $70. Next home game, $26. LA, $52. Now, only a slight difference there because we're very progressive in LA. Only 15% more. But then Las Vegas, when Caitlin Clark comes to Las Vegas, you got to pay $92 to get into the building. Every other game after that, assumingly, is $4. 2,200% increase. On average, 241% increase in ticket prices. That is absolutely insane. She's raising ticket prices no matter where she goes, and they say it's because of racism. Now, there's so many things wrong with that. Still to this day, there are more white people than black people in the United States. And if you want to say that the population difference is the reason why more white people might support them, then you can go ahead and say that. That would be weird. I never grew up saying I need to go see only white guys play basketball. I was a Vince Carter fan. I was a Ray Allen fan. That would be weird. But that would be in line with what the left says is a good thing, right? They say support all black women. Support Asian American Heritage Month. I was going to say Hysteria Month. They would have a problem with white people, and they're showing white people, black people reporters, these crazy, weird, liberal sports reporters. They're saying that it's bad. This is their theory. It's bad, and it's racist because white people are supporting Caitlin Clark because she's white. That's what they're saying is happening, and they're saying that's bad. But at the same time, they say support black people and whomever because of their race. And it's okay when black people support other black people because of the race. That's actually what they're supposed to do. That's what they say. But if you do that for a white girl, then that's racist. Even though that's not what's happening. So there's zero way for Caitlin Clark to win. There's zero way for her to come in, dominate the WNBA, dominate college, and for her to win. And for her to be seen as a good guy in, leftist media. And she's doing it without selling her body, I'd like to point out. 99% of these girls who are popular in basketball, it's because they're Instagram stars at the same time. You've got those twins. You've got this same Angel Reese girl. This Angel Reese girl, she literally cried on television saying that she had been sexualized, but she was in Sports Illustrated, post pictures of herself that are not PG-13 all the time. Her teammate, this girl named Haley Van Leith, something like that, same deal. Slutty pictures all the time. Now, if that's what you want to do, I mean, fine. They're getting popular. They're paid for it. I'm not going to support that. But Caitlin Clark is managing to do this without selling her body, and they can't handle it. They need her to be a raging leftist and to say, you know what, you're right, I'm more popular because I'm white. You're right, I should probably pose for these things. But they can't handle that. This is what they do want, though. What they do want, see, this is where it's all coming together at the same time. You can't just be a normal girl who's good at sports, or else they're going to say you're racist. And that's bad. You need to support all girls. You need to support all girls until it's a guy competing against them. You see how confusing this is for young girls? In Oregon, this guy, this male teen, just won, I believe, the state championship. And there's a long track record, no pun intended, of this guy winning these races. People have been following him since he won like the regionals in April. And his name is Aidan Gallagher, a nice Irish boy. Oh, Aidan, what are you going to do? You're going to go and run the races. Aidan, go just run the races. I know that's Scottish, but run the races against the girls. You'll destroy them. Then we'll get you a scholarship at a good American school. So here's the first race of this kid. Destroying the girls.
In 7 for Episcopal, Abby Wilson.
Right here.
Out very well.
Couldn't run more like a guy who's gay, right? Right? That's not mean to say. This is not how professional runners run. This is not how a female runner runs. This is not how a male heterosexual runs. You can see the girls with much better form. He can run with his arms flailing in the air. He can run like a weirdo and crush these women. And he did crush these women. Clearly not a girl. He walks like a boy, is a boy, quacks like a duck, etc. That was his first win, okay? That was what got him to go to the regional finals, as it were. And then, at the regionals, you know, sweet little... That's loud. Sweet little Aidan Gallagher, a nice Irish girl, running casually, as you may notice. And then he's going to turn on. Someone says, run, ladies, because we're in pretend land. And as he look how much harder the arms of the girls are pumping. But sweet little Irish girl, Aidan Gallagher, is just going to... This is normal. This is completely normal. It's completely normal for, you know, one girl to look like she's barely running and maybe be a lot buffer than the other girls to crush them. I believe it's something like 7 seconds he finishes ahead of them. And these girls are just looking at him, casually jogging the distance like it's Usain Bolt. Let's count how long. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. About 5 seconds or so ahead of the second place finisher. He crushes them, and then he moves on, right? We've been tracking this. So little Aidan Gallagher, the sweet Irish girl from Portland, Oregon, took the 200 and 400 meter events. And you can see, if we go back to the thumbnail of this, which we could get, I guess, I think it's on the very top here. They did not look pleased. This girl was like, what the hell am I doing here? This girl's not smiling much either. This girl's like, I would like the pistol. Pass me the pistol, please. For what? We don't know. So, after that victory, or after that pair victory, little Aidan Gallagher went ahead and went to, I think this is a higher level. Maybe that was regionals. He went on to the next thing and won the gold 200 meters in another event. This one at some sort of track and field meet. Holy moly, that girl's fast. Oh, sorry. Did you think that you were going to win? Nah. That wasn't going to happen. Here's the one we were looking for here. Aster Jones. The real winner, by the way. Any girl who cheers for that thinks that they're cheering because they're doing the right thing, right? If you're like a teenager or a child and you think this is the right thing, that you're being inclusive and stuff, you think you're cheering because I'm standing up for this marginalized person. I'm helping a person that can't help themselves, and I'm doing the right thing. What you are doing is saying that the feelings of one person trump the masses. And the perspective of that is, we're all helping a person who needs to be helped. But you're also helping that person defeat you. So if you're just going to give out charity to lose, that's a very strange position to take. Let's take the idea of being in a business place, because this will very soon turn into a business for these girls. I mean, it already is. If you're vying for a college scholarship, you're basically trying to win $100,000 grand prize. That's the same as a scholarship. 4 years at a university running track for free tuition, or however much you get it paid for. That's already a business. You're already running as a business. So if you're going to take this theory into a regular workplace and you feel bad for a person, maybe they probably shouldn't be there, just like in this case. But you feel bad for this person, and you feel so bad for them that one day you wake up and realize you've helped them so much that now they're your boss. And they don't deserve to be your boss. That's what these girls are doing. They're applauding this person to the stop. They're giving charity to a person who doesn't deserve to be there, and they're giving it in favor of their own future. And if that's what you want to do, if you think people deserve to be put as pilots, as champion runners, as astronauts, maybe even, if you think they deserve to be put in that place just because you feel bad for them, then that's weird. That is a weird concept that has never been done before, and that is not how things are supposed to work, because in other places, we try this, and people start dying. And the reason why you don't do it in sports is because there are people who care. There's people that are trying hard. These girls in 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th place. I didn't know podiums at 5 places these days. But these people who tried hard, they don't get what they deserve. The person who doesn't get what they deserve is now rewarded. And what does that do? What's the harm here, you might be asking? It disincentivizes hard work. It disincentivizes people to go through the paces, study, practice, all these different things, because the awards are just going to go to the people who don't know what they're doing. And then what happens when the people who don't know what they're doing or don't deserve to be there are left in charge? The whole thing collapses. So because of your perceived charity, you've now destroyed it for everyone. So when this becomes 1st, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th, and 5th place, all guys, you are now completely eliminated. The people who are trying to be there are completely eliminated. Then we say, okay, let's shut down the whole thing. And then I guess this just came out today that this, sweet Irish girl, Aidan Gallagher, won the state championships. This is Aster Jones. She was cheated out of 1st place at the Oregon State Championships by a selfish boy who pretended to be a girl so he can cheat and win. As we can see by the time, Aidan Gallagher won by... That was the same girl that came in 2nd place there. He barely beat her. He barely beat her again. And there she is. Aster Jones maybe needs to give a statement being like, this isn't fair. And, I get that the girls want to run. They want to compete, and they're children. It really falls on the school and the parents to be like, what's going on here? If my daughter was out there, I would honestly consider coming out and walking onto the field and getting a group of parents to just be like, this isn't happening. Why can people protest for, a Middle Eastern conflict that has nothing to do with you, Ukraine, stuff like that, the climate change, but you won't stop your children from being beaten by a boy? You won't stop your young girls from this. How liberal are these parents? They can't be that liberal if their kids are athletes and high-level athletes. But you're not gonna do anything You got to force your daughter not to do this. You got to all force your daughters not to do this.
Lane 4 is Esther Jones of Roosevelt. Lane 5 is Sophia Castaneda Lambert. Esther Jones of Roosevelt.
You saw some boos in there. You heard some boos, but you guys still allowed it to happen. That's my take at this point. Will you stand up for any women? And this isn't meant to be the simp or white knight podcast. It's the, will you just say that things that aren't normal aren't normal? Are you willing to point these things out? Are you willing to stand up and face the extremely, light lashing you're going to take, because everybody probably agrees with you, that it takes to be like, this isn't right? Are you going to take that? Why don't you move your girls from this school? Why don't you put them in a different competition? Why don't you stop the kid from running? Why don't you go to this coach or this athletic board and be like, we are shutting it all down? What will you guys not put up with at this point? And I'm talking to the girls, and I'm talking to the people who are supporting these children. What will you not put up with? Being called racist, being called sexist. The easiest thing to stand up, I think, in all of this, I mean, it's hard to be like, it's hard for a girl who's a professional athlete like Caitlin Clark to just say, you guys, leave me alone. I mean, she's not doing anything wrong. It's not that hard to just be like, this boy shouldn't be playing with girls. Like, this is not a hard hill to die on. It's one of the easiest hills to die on, that this boy is in fact a boy. And to force these people to have to defend themselves. They crumble as soon as you ask them to present their own views. They call that mean. The mirror is mean. How much are people going to take? And I want to carry that over to Ronda Rousey. Ronda Rousey, if we can be a little bit less serious. Ronda Rousey is so out to lunch that she's being, she's being shown out by Brendan Schaub. Now, if you don't know who Brendan Schaub is, he's a former UFC fighter turned stand-up comedian, and people wildly think that he's stupid, and the people wildly think that he's unfunny. I don't have a problem with Brendan Schaub. I think that he's doing the best that he can in an industry where he's not accepted. He was brave enough to retire from the UFC when his friends told him to, and not just go into terrible obscurity and get the shit beaten out of him all the time. He actually said, I'm going to transition here and make something of myself. He's got a couple successful podcasts. He's got a clothing line, all this stuff, right? But Ronda Rousey, for as much as people shit on Brendan Schaub, Ronda Rousey has somehow gone and done this job where she says, I'm going to spread things that I believe that are obviously false just because I can, just because I'm Ronda, and I won't actually have to face the criticism. I won't have to go on any shows that disagree with me. It's much like a Joe Biden or like a Hillary Clinton. Actually, Hillary Clinton's been disagreed with publicly a lot. A Joe Biden or, who's the lesbian soccer player that we had? Megan Rapinoe. They won't go to places where they can be challenged. Ronda Rousey is in that same boat where she's willing to just lie and make, women fighters look bad as long as she feels good in the moment. She's willing to lie and be like, no one will challenge me on this to my face, so therefore I can do it. She's already gone around saying that she's the greatest fighter of all time. Not even female, which she isn't, but the greatest fighter of all time. She then went and said that she is also only retired at her peak because of a concussion. She said she was so concussed she couldn't get, jabbed without being wrecked, right? Obvious lie. She went to be in the WWE immediately after her retirement. Immediately. So obvious lie. Now she's saying, well, I skipped over one. She also said that all the media turned their back on her and nobody called her to apologize when they found out about her concussion. So she's completely full of it. Now she was saying in her latest book that Brendan Schaub was brutally KO'd by her now husband, Travis Brown, also a former UFC fighter, and that he whispered something in his ear, and all this stuff happened that didn't actually happen. So Ronda Rousey said in her book that this guy, Brendan Schaub, thrived off of playing mind games with her and then tried to hide the relationship, among other things. So she has this book that she came out with as we scroll down to the excerpt here that somebody posted. And this is what she said about her husband, again, Travis Browne, who fought Brendan Schaub in the UFC. She said, Travis Browne had been training for us for a while when it was announced that his first fight as official member of our team would be against my ex-boyfriend, which is Brendan Schaub. My ex thrived on playing effed up mind games with me when I had a fight coming up and insisted that we hide that we were dating so he wouldn't be labeled Ronda Rousey's boyfriend. So the first thing, you're going to get my version here and you're going to get Schaub's version here, and it's going to line up pretty well. Because I wrote about this before he came out and said it. People who watched MMA and UFC at the time knew that those two were dating. It wasn't a secret. It was quite obvious, and I believe Schaub even talked about it at the time. The idea that it was this huge secret is not true. And she said that he insisted that we hide that we were dating so that he wouldn't be labeled Ronda Rousey's boyfriend. I can kind of get that. I wouldn't say hide that we're dating, but he probably said, if anything, let's try not to, address it a lot. Let's try not to go on media tours together, because he could, as a lesser fighter, as in his following was much smaller and his successes were much fewer at the time, he could very easily be labeled as Ronda Rousey's boyfriend, that guy who's dating Ronda Rousey. And we've seen this happen with Paige Van Zandt, UFC fighter turned, internet prostitute. Just kidding. Not true. Just does pornography. My apologies. Her boyfriend, or her husband, whatever he is also an MMA fighter, or was less successful than she is, even though she didn't really do anything, but less known than she is, and he became known as her boyfriend, who now does porn with her. So that does happen. But of course, my point here is that they weren't actually, it wasn't a secret that they were dating. As Travis headed into the matchup, I pretended it wasn't personal. I tried not to be overly involved or emotional. This wasn't my fight. I was hoping he would win, but I was in training camp, so I really didn't think too much more about it. That is until it was on live TV, and I lost my goddamn mind, screaming at the top of my lungs, "Get him, Travis!" while punching the arm of the person on the couch next to me. When Travis knocked him out at the end of the first round, I didn't think it could get any more gratifying. My ex covered up on the ground while Travis pounded away on him. The referee waved the match over. Then Travis, towering over the crumpled, semi-conscious body of my ex, leaned down and whispered something in his ear. His words were indiscernible to the camera, but I swore I could hear Travis's voice saying, "Ronda says F you." Now, like anybody else, I went and said, I vaguely remember that fight. Let me go back and watch it to see, because Ronda's been on, a lying tour lately. She's been going around the internet lying about things. So I said, I don't exactly remember that being a headline at the time. So let me go back and watch it. And of course, what happened there was not actually what happened. I mean, it didn't take a rocket scientist to figure this one out, but Ronda, pretty much exaggerated what was said there. And I'm trying to get this fight video to load. There we go. So let's go ahead and bring that up. So again, we got to just to position this with what she said. She said that he was crumpled over, semi-concussed, and he leaned down and whispered something in his ear. Okay, we're going to see right here that, the fight wasn't as bad as I thought, but it's going to end up being a TKO here with Travis Browne, hammer fist, punching the side of his head, getting his back a little bit more, posturing up a bit, punching Schaub in the head over, no responses from Schaub, and then the fight is stopped. Now, him and Schaub are going to exchange a few words as Schaub complains that the fight was stopped too early. We'll bring it back a little bit again. It's stopped. It's a TKO. It's not a knockout. This is where Ronda says he's standing, towering over him, towering over the crumpled, semi-conscious body of my ex, leaned over and whispered something in his ear. He's not towering over him. I mean, I guess you can argue that. He's not semi-conscious. He's having a conversation with him, and he doesn't whisper anything in his ear. That's the problem I have with Ronda. There's something on screen that she can go and watch and recall it. and see that her recollection is not correct, but she'll say it anyways. This is what she can get away with. This is what happens when you're a girl in the media who doesn't care what she looks like. She doesn't care what anybody says. And this is the problem going on. There is not enough care into what we are actually saying here. There's not enough care into what we are teaching younger women. Ronda Rousey was a huge role model for young girls. Huge role model for girls getting into MMA. And she can't help herself. Everyone was against me. Everybody lied about me. Everybody hated me. And then here's a memory I have that's, 90% untrue. And you can go back and watch this and see that it's untrue. But she'll do it anyways. Just like Nancy Pelosi, just like Joe Biden and Hillary Clinton. They will say it anyways. They will say what happened didn't happen. Or they'll say what didn't happen did happen. And they'll say it with a smile on their face and be like, what? So here's Brendan Schaub and Brian Callen talking about it on their podcast.
My ex covered up on the ground while Travis pounded away on him. The referee waved the match over. Then Travis towering over the crumpled, semi-conscious body of
it
my
wasn't
ex.
unconscious
Hold
and
on.
also wasn't crumpled. I was in downward dog, okay?
I swore I could hear Travis's voice saying, Ronda says, fuck you. That's pretty good. That's pretty Ronda!
Yeah, I don't think he said Ronda says fuck you.
Didn't he come to your dressing room and say, I'm glad you're okay?
In the back, yeah.
Yeah, he said, I'm glad you're all right.
Yeah,
I'm glad,
he's cool. Yeah, I have no issues with him. Now, the way the media treats her, I think, is not fair. People forget like what she did for women's MMA. There would be no female MMA fighters if it wasn't for Ronda. Dana, shortly before Ronda came on the scene, went, women will never fight in the UFC. Then he sees Ronda, he's like, maybe they will, because she was a savage. And people want to talk about like Kobe mentality, too. I'm sure Kobe was a savage. There should be Ronda mentality.
Yeah.
He also says that didn't happen. He goes into it a bit more. You can see the rest of his claims on the actual podcast link, which I can bring up for you guys right now, but I don't want to get copyright claimed on that.
Yes, we did, 'cause we back at it again.
Ronda says, fuck you. That's pretty good. That's pretty Ronda!
That never happened.
No?
No.
No, but he did whisper in your ear. I don't know what he said, but I remember him looking there, whispering, and I don't think you could hear it. I don't know what happened, but
Yeah, I don't think he said Ronda says fuck you.
didn't he come to your dressing room and say, I'm glad you're okay?
In the back, yeah.
Yeah, he said, I'm glad you're all right. I'm
Yeah,
glad,
he's cool. Yeah, I have no issues with him.
No, he's cool.
How's this news?
It says it was shipped April 2nd.
It's not news, it's just what happened. It's her life. It's how she felt. It was the...
This is the difference. If I wrote a book, she would not be in my book.
But you see what I'm saying is he goes on to say 14 years later, why are you saying this? Either Rhonda just wants to go out and say these things because she helps it sell her book, thinks it helps her sell her book, or she's delusional. Neither of those are good. And what I'm noticing is people like her and Chrissy Noem, who has messed up things in her book too, about shooting her dog and shooting her goat and meeting Kim Jong-un. And people do this in news a lot. They have ghostwriters, right? But what you need to do is, there's one of two things you could do here. Write your own book. And people, and I understand that Ronda Rousey's not a writer. She probably didn't write her own book. But you at least got to go check the book. Just like the governor, Chrissy Noem. You need to go check the book. Because either she met Kim Jong-un and she wasn't supposed to say that she met him, or she didn't meet Kim Jong-un. And just like Ronda, you need to check the book. Either he said that, or he didn't say that. If he's going in apologizing to him after the fight, it's likely that he didn't say that. He also wasn't crumpled, towering over him and whispering in his ear. You guys need to check your books. And there are several people, I'll let you guess from where, that have ghostwriters. And these are alleged writers. These are alleged news people who can't write their book. They can't sit down. They can't dedicate a few hours a day to writing a couple pages a day to writing a book. And they want you to believe that they're really smart. And they want you to believe that you should go to them for their news. And they want you to believe that everything's sexist. And they want you to believe that they're, people that should be taken seriously for their opinions. But they can't write. but they're allegedly writers. So people either need to write their books or they need to go and make sure that the facts in their book are correct, because this is wild that you just publish your book with lies in it. I can't get behind it. And when Ronda Rousey comes out here week after week just saying she's a victim, and then she's getting bodied by Brendan Schaub, it's time to take a look in the mirror. But she's not going to do that. She's not going to take a look in the mirror. Trans Runner's not going to take a look in the mirror. Angel Wilson's not going to take a look in the mirror after she said everything's racist. But you should befriend me and give me my endorsements anyways. Let's take a commercial break here, and by that I mean we're going to show off the Patreon page, patreon.com/UOPod. You can see me in my football sweater guy sweater there. Patreon.com/UOPod. I don't know where the tiers are, but you can sign up for just a few dollars a month. You will get the bonus podcast with Anomaly. You will get the bonus comedy sketches. You will also get the bonus content coming out about my comedy interviews from Blaze. There's other content I filmed with these people that I'm interviewing. So that's patreon.com/UOPod. If you can please help out the podcast, go ahead and go to that website today. You could also go to theblaze.com, where we're doing originals. And the latest original was Leo Dottavio. You will know him from Danny Mullen videos. And what Leo told us in this interview is that 90% of the people, him and Danny went to this Free Palestine protest at UCLA, right? And I'm asking him, I'm saying, Leo, what is the common denominator? What is the thing that people don't see on TV about these protests? What did you notice were the patterns at this protest? And he says the vast majority of them, about 90% of them, are uninformed white women with edgy haircuts. And what they want to do is they want to go to a hangout at the university, and they want to see what's up, and they want to get along with people, and they want to just basically hang out. And these girls are wearing, Arabic scarves, even though that's supposed to be cultural appropriation. And they're being, coaxed into chanting for the murder of people. And this is not I'm not taking sides in this war because I think it's retarded. But these pathetic people that are at these protests, they're just there to hang out and party, and the vast majority of them have no idea what they're talking about. And they can't. And we'll watch a clip from it without giving you the crux of the article here. Here's a clip from the video of when he was at the protest.
What do you guys want to do here?
I mean, we were on the Ukrainian thing for a while, fucking dictator, down with Putin or whatever. But then we both got sucked a couple times.
We did.
Time to move on.
After that, we were like, okay, we don't get the same traction on Twitter, man.
No.
We had the Ukrainian flag out that wasn't doing shit for us, man. Then we put the Palestinian flag out.
Bam.
Oh, it changed the week, man. We
tripled the engagement overnight.
I had the golden weekend, man. 3 girls, 3 days, man. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, different girls. That's crazy, man. Golden weekend, man. Come on, man. That's good. It's a good time.
I know this is an outdated term, but is cultural appropriation not a thing anymore? I don't think you're Middle Eastern. You can't wear that scarf.
Like, technically, man, that is cultural appropriation.
That's shame. Shame, shame, shame. You really should be ashamed of yourself. I'm going to film it right now.
See me?
Look at that. That is a white person. That is a white person. Shame! Shame!
It is cultural appropriation.
Shame!
You have a good point.
Shame!
You have a great point, man.
I'm shaming her because she's white and she's wearing a Middle Eastern headdress. It's really not okay.
Are you guys original to campus? Or are you just visiting?
I would say we are original to campus. Yeah.
I mean, we just wanted to come see what the hullabaloo was about, and the Palestine people have been turning us away. No, we're fraternity members.
What fraternity?
Beta Theta Pi. Read the tank.
Yeah, but I know.
Yeah, well, we still party, Is that a crime? Ladies, what do you think we blow this hot dog stand and go down to Westwood, get some drinks?
I think it would be great for everybody here if we got you right over there.
Okay, well, you got to come with us, because we're going to be drinking with you.
Only if you promise to have 3 martinis.
Oh, there's the pimp right there. There he is. He's probably a doctor, Leo.
It'd be great for everybody to just bring you guys over. We're protecting people. So you can look forward to more of that, more commentary on that in my interview with Leo. The thing that I wanted to bring up was this photo that was making its rounds on the internet last week, and it said, "Which way, Western woman?" You'll see the one girl's got a bottle of, I'm guessing, Grey Goose in her hand. I mean, that's an expensive vodka, even though it tastes the same as the rest of them. And you've got a nice Asian girl half asleep there, and then another girl giving the middle finger, etc., etc. The other option is this family in the forest, and, it's enchanted. The sun, let's forget about the fact there's a photographer there. But that's the question, is which way, Western woman? And I wanted to point out some of the engagement on this because it's really, really telling. And I think this properly rolls together what we've been talking about in this episode. I'm going to close Aja Wilson, talking about how racist it is. I'm going to close the transgender track runner. I'm going to close Ronda Rousey's lies. So here are some of the engagements. To get married, I guess we can't see the top of that one anymore. I bet you the girls partying with friends in their early 20s are way more likely to get married than the men on Twitter who whine about them. Could be the sluts man at LMAO. Hang out with baby versus me and my husband going out on 6th Street. You do not have to choose. So this is a couple who says, we party anyways, you guys. It's awesome. And we're goth a little bit. This is the same picture 10 years apart, says a Searchy or something. The Madonna whore complex is a prevailing human idea, but it's quaint to see the right wing discovered in real time. Fun fact, you could actually do both during your life. Here's me at age 18 drunk in a nightclub toilet, and me age 25 on my wedding day. From A to B. This is a very naive way of viewing life, another girl says. I hate to break it to the misanthropes on here, but a lot of women really do manage both, one after another. So again, you'll notice that there's a lot of the people here and a lot of women saying, this is so stupid. This is something a man would come up with because you can obviously do both. And this reminds me of the Pearl Davis one where she said 35-year-olds are not as attractive as 25-year-olds. The engagement on that one was, how dare you say this? Here's a picture of me. I'm so much better looking than you. Don't you get it? So the reactions in this one are, yeah, so what? I'm allowed to be a slut as long as I turn it around. This is fine. There's no other. You're a man. You can say this isn't good, but you like this, and this isn't actually realistic. So what people found out eventually is, though, that this was actually a woman who was posting this. It says, I'm a woman, after somebody says the same influencers pushing the narrative that the only one or the other is possible. The same ones are getting literal prostitutes pregnant. And she says, I'm a woman. When you haven't grown up with any female friends, another person says. She says, once again, I'm a woman. Oh, look, a Madonna/whore trope. Same image of you men also available. I'm not a man, she says. This anti-fun right is gay, somebody says. Different stages of life. You are seeing women argue that you literally have to do this. That you literally have to be a drunken person and have this college drinking phase. You literally have to do it. And I don't understand this. I don't understand this defense of I should be able to, let me defend doing bad things. You don't have to say that you have never done it. You can regret doing it. But the defending of the bad things is why people aren't on women's side on different things. This is why they have trouble being like, let me stand up for girls. Let me stand up for them against the transgender runners, the tranny runners. We almost said it. We'll say it anyways. This is why people have a hard time standing up for women in the media, and conservative women especially, because they will agree with everything. And then as soon as something comes out that they identify in themselves, that personally hurts them, the whole, let's look at things logically here goes out the window. Somebody says, a girl, one of their own kind, says, you could do all this stuff, be a party girl, or you could get married young. It's up to you. And how dare you say that? Only a man would say this. This is such a pathetic, gross man's point of view. It's probably from a guy who has sex with prostitutes. Just like the girl in the WNBA. who says, you're sexualizing me and then I need to be able to go do Sports Illustrated. You've got to, we've got to get to this point where we can honestly call things out, and we have to be able to be honest with ourselves, or else you're just going to be forgotten about in the battle of ideas. If this is the reaction that you need to have, you need to be able to say, well, I'm going to defend the bad choices I've made. Just like the basketball player. Just like the other one who said that everything's racist against her. If you can't come out as a person and say, I was wrong about that, then you're going to be left behind. Because what did people start having backlash against the mainstream media for? It's the fact that they can't admit they're wrong. COVID, lockdowns, elections, immigration, money printing, all these things that the government and the establishment will never say that it did wrong. And that's why people don't trust them anymore. People who are, in the media need to be able to come to terms with the fact that they were wrong about some things. Maybe you had, a spiritual and intellectual awakening at some age after this happened to you. But when you're just going to attack the person who points out that maybe it wasn't a good idea, maybe there's a better choice you could have made. If you're going to attack that person, then that says a lot more about you. Just like Ronda Rousey. People didn't like her because she lies. Oh, everybody's attacking me. This is what we're setting ourselves up for, people. If you want to be taken seriously, then you've got to go 100%. You've got to go 100% with this whole thing. And we've got to stop, on one hand, we have to stop, pushing things out there that people don't like. Morally, I'm saying. You got to stop pushing the stuff out there that people don't like. But women have to also stop defending it when it's something that they see as an attack on them. They need to see through the weeds a little bit, look through the trees a little bit. And Friday and Saturday night around 1:30 a.m. I found myself watching some 80s and 90s music videos. And what comes on? It's 90% women. These myths that it's like, oh, it's all straight white male in the media. Tons of gay guys, tons of black women. And the difference you notice mostly is that in the 80s and 90s, the female artists were so much cooler. And I'm willing to say this. I'm willing to say that they were cooler. They had personalities. They were varying on styles. And so were the men, of course. What is it? The Cure? So weird and stupid. But they were different. But so weird and lame and stupid. Holy shit, did they suck. But like Salt and Peppa, even the Spice Girls when they first came out, you got Sinead O'Connor, you got the Cranberries, you got No Doubt, you've got all these different groups where they were unique and doing different things, trying different things, and they were successful for it. There was a girl who toured malls in the United States when she was 17. There was all these different groups. The girl who sang the original Toy Soldier song that Eminem copied. All these different female artists who were edgy and cool in their own ways. Now what do you get? You get Butthole Girl. You get Nicki Minaj, which is a little outdated now, I know. Cardi B. You get. When was the last time you saw a girl that wasn't Taylor Swift playing a guitar? You got Billie Eilish. You got Olivia Rodrigo, who's the girl passing out birth control, playing bee pills at her concerts. You've got all these different female artists. Still, you got tons of female artists, even though I guess it's sexist. But what are they? Their motif is being skanks, right? And this is what you're presenting to young girls. When did it stop being the case that you could have like unique, non-slutty girls in the media? Some point around the late 2000s, early 2010s, I think, is when the flip got switched. And they say, we need to go full propaganda with everything. No more, Ashley and Hillary's on Fresh Prince. No more Topangas. Just, straight sluttiness. It has to be that way. And with that meme, Which Way Western Woman, with that meme, what that's saying is, which one would you rather be the presentation? Which one would you rather be, the goal and the standard for young women to look up to? They can deviate. They're going to deviate. They can rebel. They're going to rebel. But which one would you rather be the standard? Would you rather have, TLC and Salt and Peppa and these girl bands and No Doubt and Gwen Stefani? And would you rather have the Spice Girls? And would you rather have Natalie and Bruglia or Sinead O'Connor? Would you rather have all these girls? Or would you rather have Sexy Red, Cardi B, Olivia Rodrigo, and, a whole bunch of other groups and a whole bunch of female artists that I can't name because they all seem the same? Which one would you rather have? And what you get when you ask that question is, well, I should be able to do that anyways. I should be able to be an Instagram slut anyways. I should be able to do pornography anyways, says Paige Van Sant. Ronda Rousey, I should be able to lie anyways. Aja Wilson, I should be able to say that everything's racist anyways. Don't be mad at me when I lie or when I'm wrong. I have to be able to do it. And there's this weird thing happening on the right wing with girls right now is they just and not all of them. I should name a few that are pretty consistent. I think Pearl Davis is pretty consistent, even though I think she's wrong a whole bunch of times. I think Isabel Brown's pretty consistent. I think some of the other girls who are a bit of edgelords are pretty consistent, even though I think they're wrong. Even though I think some of their opinions are wrong. Kingsley Cortez, very edgy, pretty consistent. But a lot of the right-wing conservative girls who are content creators, they say, we just gotta see the logic. We just gotta work through the logic. We just gotta be fair to everything. And then something like this comes up. Somebody says something, says, which way Western girl? Do you want to be the party girl archetype, or do you want to be the girl that gets the guy, which we all know they want? All the shows tell us, all the popular girl shows say, we want to have the Prince Charming. Somebody says, which one do you want? They say, I should be able to do that one too. That's what's going to happen. You're going to get made fun of like Ronda Rousey. That's what's going to happen. You're going to be called a liar like this other girl, like like the girl making fun of Caitlin Clark and for not being endorsed. Let's close it out on some Doctor Who. Doctor Who has been circling the drain for a couple years now. Doctor Who said, F off and let people be. This is the last star before the current guy. He said, F off and let people be. He said it at some sort of convention.
To ask about, like, maybe your relationship with, like gender and, like, expression, like, masculinity and femininity, because I've always noticed, like, even before you and Georgia became more, like, vocal about trans rights, that you're always, like, not afraid to show, like, femininity, and that inspires me to embrace it too, even though I'm a bit traumatized by it because I'm trans. I wonder, like, how has that changed over
you catch that? I'm a bit traumatized because I'm trans. Okay, we'll continue.
The years, if changed at all, because I remember also reading something about, like, you in the 90s also being, like, not afraid to be called gay or something. Yeah. In now this environment with, like, more trans allyship and stuff, like, has that for you personally changed at all?
I don't know that it changes. I've hopefully learned as that
horrible accent. Can we just say right now, horrible accent? We can say that, right? Horrible accent.
Community has found ways of defining itself and has provided a sort of, when I was a kid, the idea of being non-binary wasn't something that existed. It wasn't a concept, and I've seen that emerge and people able to express themselves through that, and it only ever seems positive as far as
it only ever seems positive, he says, and we'll continue the rest, but he says that being non-binary never existed for my entire life until, yesterday. But I've only seen positivity from it. You've only seen positive things from people saying that they're not a male or female. I just want that to sit as a guy in his 50s, probably, maybe late 40s. Claiming or pretending that you're not a male or female, you're somewhere in between, is nothing but positive. Let's apply that to something else. For my whole life, we never had people eating Tide Pods. People are finding an identity by making TikToks about eating Tide Pods. I've only seen that as positive. Imagine, people didn't know about Asperger's. I've only seen somebody enjoying their Asperger's as a positive. When somebody has a mental illness and you say, you go and do it. You do you. You're hurting them. You're not helping. You're not being kind. You're not being friendly. It's the same thing with the track and field runners. You're actually doing a disservice. And we shouldn't have to say this much, but this Doctor Who guy is really out to lunch. He has no idea what he's talking about. He's just desperate to sound like he's on the progressive edge of things.
I can see, and I think that the kind of the weaponization of trans rights, gay rights, actually, when I was a teenager, I remember gay rights being weaponized politically, and that always felt ugly and nasty. And now
let's pause again for a moment to point out that there are still no rights that gay people or transgender people don't have. There are zero actual rights. They don't have freedom of speech taken away. They can carry guns as long as they're, within the parameters of that. They could have a civil union. The only thing you could possibly argue is gay marriage, even though the term marriage is a religious term. You could, still get a civil union and nobody would care, but they had to call it marriage. That's also not a right. Okay. But we're still 2024, and there is yet to be a thing where they can say they don't have a right to do something.
Back on that 30 years later, and those people are clearly on the wrong side of history. And now there's a sort of similar weaponization of these topics being taken by mostly the right wing, or certain sections of society at least, trying to create friction and conflict and division where it needn't be, where it's just about people being themselves and not, you don't need to be bothered about it. Fuck off and let people be.
So obviously this is a gross, in the term of a large misrepresentation of the argument. Nobody ever had a problem with people being cross-dressers or hermaphrodites or people getting sex changes. Never a thing that people complained about. Everybody always thought it was weird, because those people do tend to be weird in the vast majority of cases. But nobody was ever saying, hey, that's not allowed to exist unless you're some part of communist, frankly, left wing. And that's the problem with this stuff, is there's no actual historical knowledge about anything. They'll just say it's right wing, even though it's left wing fascists and communists that immediately eliminate these people once they take to power. But that's neither here nor there, I guess. But the idea that, it's being weaponized and people, we can just go off, say, let people be. That's all it is people just want to be. No, we've seen it in this episode. Not only do I want you to accept my delusion, I want to force you to call me whatever I want to be called, and then I get to do whatever I want, and you can have a problem with it. If transgender people were just blah, 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 we're just living our lives, okay, go ahead. I mean, that's what mainly isn't that showcased with the drag queens? Nobody cares about the RuPaul drag race. They think every man thinks it's weird and gay, and obviously it's a sexual perversion that women want to pretend isn't real. But that's fine. Go do your thing. Have your little drag shows. But once they started bringing it to children, and children were being brought to these bars and they were having them read in front of them, that's where people had a problem with it. Same thing with transgenderism. Once you started teaching it to children, once you started having males against females in their own sports categories and other places in life, that's when it became the problem. So either he's so desperate to claim that there is this fight that he's fighting that he's willing to lie about it, and I think it's that because he doesn't seem like a dumb guy. Or it's that and a combination of, I need to be progressive, I need to keep people thinking that I'm a good person, and the way that I can be a good person is to agree with the establishment, right? A good communist agrees with Mao, or agrees with Xi Jinping, or agrees with Kim Jong-un, or agrees with, name your dictator. A good member of that society has a good social credit score and agrees with the establishment. David Tennant, this guy here, he agrees with the establishment, the left-wing establishment, and blames the right wing. He's a political pawn, whether he knows it or not. I agree with the establishment narrative on this, and therefore I am hedging my bets and saying that if I agree with this stuff, then I'm more likely to continue my success in my given field, all while selling my soul. So a combination of that and the new Doctor Who character who said, don't watch. He said, don't watch, turn off the TV, go touch grass? Please, for God's sakes, he told Variety. As the world darkens, and I do think the world is darkening around queer rights. Again, what rights? Nobody asks. There is a joy and celebration, and there's a community. I'm beginning to worry about what we are in society. There's a hero out there cutting his way through the universe, looking damn good in his suits and doing it with a smile and a laugh. So that's the star of the new Doctor Who, and Ncuti Gatwa. Turns out when you tell people not to watch, your viewership plummets. And man, did it plummet. And I'll read you this article. As that Park Place noted, His Doctor Who premiere called An Unearthly Child, which was, no, that's not the one. He only beat out the Doctor Who premiere, An Unearthly Child, that aired all the way back in 1963. So his 2023 Christmas special, which had 4.7 million viewers, which of course is a ton of viewers. It's actually very bad for Doctor Who. It's on BBC that you have to pay for unless you opt out. Only the 1963 premiere had less viewers, and that was 4.4 million, but it became so popular that it hit 10 million by the end of the season. The same upward trajectory cannot be said for Gatwa's iteration, who famously told critics not to watch if they didn't like the woke series, woke direction the series was taken. Gatwa says this, the former Doctor Who actor says it, and the producer says that he wants to include this stuff in Doctor Who because he wants to make the impression on children. And we can get to that in a second. Here it is. And anyways, Russell T. Davies, he insisted that he wants to curtail homophobia and transphobia by presenting these themes to youth. And it did not curtail positive results. It did not curtail people from tuning in, or it did curtail. I'm getting way ahead of myself here. Do we have the link to that somewhere? No, we don't. Okay. So Gatwa's episode Space Babies, along with episode 2, The Devil's Cord, significantly dropped off his Christmas special viewership. It hit just 2.6 million and 2.4 viewers 0.4 million viewers respectively. In 2023, when they only had special episodes, Gatwa's Christmas special had below the average viewership when compared to those shows. In 2021-2022, they averaged 3.82 million. While in 2021, episodes saw an average of 4 million. Going even further back to 2018, they averaged 6.2 million. In 2017, they averaged 3.7 million. Only one episode even comes close to sinking as low as Gatwa's ratings in terms of viewership. Again, he had just 2.6 and 2.4 million viewers in his latest episodes. No one tanks this low in Doctor Who ever. This show is from 1963 is when it started. You know, they have a guy playing Doctor Who. He plays him for a season or a few, and then they change it because it's an alien who doesn't have a real identity, right? It's just whoever body he inhabits, I believe is the deal. So not since 1963 has somebody hit views that low. Only he has hit views that low back in December. But to hit 2.6 and 2.4 million viewers, you can't even go back to 1963 to see views that low. The only thing that's come close is one episode from 2017, which is 2.89. This guy and these guys say, we're going to put transgender stuff in your episode. He even talks about having a sexy summer with a guy in the Christmas episode. We're going to push transgenderism on you. We're going to teach it to your youth. The guy who used to be Doctor Who says, you know, it's being weaponized against us. They say, don't watch if you don't like this stuff. And people don't watch, and what's going to happen now? They're going to say that it's transphobic, it's sexist, and, you know, you should watch or else you're a bigot. They will not concede. They will not concede any ground that they're wrong. And that's how we're going to wrap up this episode, is that at some point, if what you're doing isn't working, you have to sort of, you know, mop up and say that what you did was wrong. If you're a coach of a bad team, eventually you're going to say we must have done something wrong if our team can't win. There's got to be some sort of factor. If you're the governor of California, you got to say this stuff didn't work. If you're in the government, you're in the establishment, you got to say, you know, the immigration plan hasn't worked. The COVID stuff didn't work. How we've planned our cities haven't worked. Our approach to drugs and crime hasn't worked. But they're not going to. And what I want for people to do is encourage these girls like Caitlin Clark who are doing the right thing. She just wants to play her sport and be. And you don't need to go after the girls who are just, like I said, the other college girls who are basically popular for their looks. But what you need to do is you need to encourage those girls who are doing the right thing. And you need to not make excuses for the girls who are not doing the right thing. Because that's what we're seeing right now is we need to have an excuse for doing the bad thing. You don't need to do that. You don't need to say Taylor Swift is awesome even though she does the bad things. You can say that she does some good things. You can say that culturally and generally she's pretty good, but you don't have to pretend that she isn't a shill for the Democrats, which she has been many times, and that she's not dating a guy who promoted Pfizer and Bud Light at their worst. You don't have to pretend. You just have to have a little humility. And then you don't have to base like everything upon lies. And that's the lesson here, is we can have cool girls. It's been done in the media before. We can have cool girls in the media. We don't have to just say, I should be allowed to be the party girl and the butthole song, and there's nothing you should be able to say about it. I should be allowed to do that. Just like people shouldn't be saying Andrew Tate's the greatest guy in the world when he ran a farm of webcam girls. He's right about some things, but he's wrong about the other things. But if you're going to come on as a guy and say, hey, isn't it also awesome that he had the webcam empire? It's the same thing as saying, hey, wasn't it awesome that I was, exposing myself to the camera on Instagram for 5 years? It was just a phase. It doesn't have to be, not everybody has to be perfect all the time, but you don't need to make excuses for the stuff that you do that's bad. You don't need to come out and say, it's great when the guy from Doctor Who was on Doctor Who. You don't have to say that was awesome, and then also say that him saying you're killing us by taking away our transgender rights was also awesome. You can like the stuff that people do good, and you can dislike the stuff that people do bad. Just don't lie about it. Ronda Rousey. Call me if you want to talk about this. I will discuss with you that you need to stop lying, and I'll say that we won't hate you for it. Let's just slow down on the lies a little bit. Catch you guys next time. Thanks for watching as always. Like, share, and subscribe if you can. Leave a review on the Spotify, Google, and Apple podcasts if you can. Patreon.com/UOPod. We would love to see you there. Thank you.
Turn it up, Jordan.